Hello and welcome to the first official episode of Friday Night Witchcraft. So, our scene starts in New Orleans in a kind of off the beaten path park, not far from the large mall where most of our cast is employed. This park is kind of run down. It's very large. That's its biggest qualities. It's a huge park. And that's why a traveling carnival has stopped there and has opened its tent flaps to the general public. And all of your characters have been drawn here by the almost intoxicating amounts of essence released from the emotions and the high spirits of the people in the carnival. There are carnival attractions. There's even a couple of rides they've set up. There's a side show complete with a group of circus freaks. There's, of course, the merry-go-round. There's all the staples of a good carnival going on. So go ahead and kind of introduce where your characters are at. We'll start with Tiger and Kim. Then we'll go to Tim. We'll go to Martin. That way everybody has a chance. So go ahead.
Shadow's stealing a turkey leg.
Jason is probably sitting at one of those ring toss booths, trying desperately to win a prize. Not for anybody except for himself. Really wants one of those cheaply made stuffed bears. Stands a little under 5'10", with black hair that's kind of longish and shaggy. He's wearing a t-shirt and a pair of jeans.
Okay, Tim. You are muted, by the way, Tim.
Okay. I didn't know if you... My bad. So, Mario's just fucking walking around this carnival. She doesn't really seem too interested in the games or anything like that. She may, kind of look a couple of times at the temporary tattoos, thinking those are kind of neat. She's going and looking for the weird stuff people sell at carnivals, like the random tents at the carnivals that are like, oh, here's this Gundam model.
Mm-hmm.
She's not exactly looking for gunplay. That's not her life. But yeah, she just kind of wants to find some of the weirder stuff.
And Martin, go ahead and just kind of introduce your character to the group.
So, Syriac is a rather attractive young man, mixed heritage, kind of Creole descent. And he's basically there, I think, for the moment, more to people watch. He's got more of his eye on the crowd and just seeing if anyone seemed particularly attractive, intriguing. He's also just kind of basking in the essence that drew all of us here. Soaking it in, if he can. What other introduction kind of stuff do I need to share?
Um, anything like anything like super distinguishing about the character you might want to share? That sort of stuff.
Rather vivid blue eyes. Short, almost buzzed hair. Complete. Uh, but looking stylish. Wearing a jacket that kind of is patterned after not actual uh, alligator, but uh, print styled like that. Alligator skin, sort of. Um, and attractive. Muscular, cut, defined. Maybe a bit too pretty. Uh,
Okay. So, as the various cast members are going about their activities, from finding the strange and the absurd to observing the strange and absurd ways that humans act in large crowds, there is a very subtle, almost like a thought in the back of your head. It sounds like your own voice that you have in the back of your head saying, I wonder if this carnival has a bearded woman. You don't really know why this thought's in your head, but it's in there and it's kind of bothering you the more and more that you think about it. So what do you guys do?
This probably prompts Syriac to imagine what it would be like to kiss a bearded woman. And he's kind of into it. So he's looking around for any signs.
Okay. So there is a big sign on like a wooden stake put into the ground, pointing with an arrow to a large purple and white, which is kind of unusual. Usually, the stereotype is red and white tents, but it's a purple and white checkered tent. And the sign says freak show inside that tent, essentially. What are Mari and Jason and Shadow thinking of this thought in the back of their heads?
Shadow is carrying a turkey leg that would normally be half the size of a cat if it was a normal sized cat. She'll walk up to Jason and telepathically help you. Did you get a prize yet?
Jason will just kind of grumble, stick his hands in his pockets, realize he has no more money to attempt at the ring toss, and just kind of walk dejectedly away from it. Just kind of curious about this bearded woman that is like in his mind for whatever reason.
Mari, who is about halfway through her third cigarette, I like to imagine, rather than it being a voice in her head, it was something actually talking to her. And she looks over to the side and says, "Fine, I'll check it out. Fucking stop." God. And she just starts going.
All right. So at the entrance, there's a man, selling tickets. They're really cheap. They're like $1.50 a piece. I'm going to assume everyone has the cash on them to get through. But the man stops Jason and he says, "I'm sorry, sir. There's no pets allowed inside."
She's my service cat.
I'm Sorry? Roll me a willpower test, please.
Okay.
Do you have anything that would add to your charisma?
I have Nerves of Steel. No, that wouldn't do it.
No.
Smooth talking.
If you have the smooth talking skill, add that.
Yeah, I do.
So your willpower plus smooth talking.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
So it's 1d10 plus, right?
Yep, 1d10 plus your bonus.
Okay, and I'm looking for 9 and higher.
9 and higher, yes.
Ooh, hey, look at that 10. Hello.
Okay, so go ahead and reroll your 10. And let me double check the rule of 10 thing, because I know that confuses. So I believe you cut it, if I remember correctly, you cut it in half and then add that to your original result. Subtract 5, and if above 0, add to result.
Okay, well, I got a 4, so.
All right, so the man kind of like frowns at Jason, almost like he isn't quite sure he believes him, but he says, well, I suppose she's a pretty big cat. I guess she is a girl, right? He kind of looks almost apologetic.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's got to be big. What if I have a seizure and somebody needs to get, or she needs to get someone's attention? Think they're gonna notice like a little tiny teacup kitten just roaming about?
Well, a fair point, I suppose. And he hands you your ticket. He still kind of is glancing down at Shadow suspiciously, but he doesn't say anything else.
The Shadow has been patiently waiting, standing beside Jason's leg.
And Jason just gets the thought in the back of his head, still in his voice, that was pretty smooth. And then he was, sorry.
He'll just think in his head, yeah, I know.
And then Jason and Shadow are allowed into the tent. When Mari goes up to buy a ticket, the same man kind of looks at her. This is right after Jason and Shadow have gone in. And he just kind of sighs and says, don't tell me you have an emotional support animal too. I don't know if we can have that many of them in the circus at one time.
I have an emotional support cigarette.
As long as you put it out before you go in, you're fine.
It's my service cigarette.
The look on this man's face says he's not being paid enough to deal with this, but he gives her a ticket anyways.
She walks in.
The man actually doesn't challenge Sirac? Is that how you say his name? Or
Syriac.
Syriac, okay. Yeah, he does not challenge him, actually. He just kind of takes his money, kind of staring a bit, but he doesn't say anything like overt. And everybody is within the tent. So in the tent, there's plenty of seating. You guys can sit wherever you would like. Coincidentally, you all end up sitting next to each other. That's kind of weird. Who knows how that happened?
The question
Because they
is,
cigarette smoke for days.
What was your question, Kim?
I was asking if Jason was carrying a bag.
He is not.
Although, admittedly, actually, because of secondhand smoking and the dangers that it causes, and they're in an enclosed environment, she will put it out, if only for their lungs and safety.
Okay. So inside the tent, there is the seating. There's a large stage set up in the middle of the tent, with an area to the left where it's there's another opening, and that's very obvious. It's where the attractions come in. And there's a man in very, very bright red suit up on stage. He appears to be smiling, being very, very gregarious as he's waiting for people to file in and for the tent to fill. So as you guys are sitting there kind of looking around, everybody make me a perception. Double check terminology. Perception test. So you roll your perception and double it. Double the perception bonus, not the final result.
Okay. I have notice. Does that apply to this?
You can roll your notice skill and perception, but then you won't double your perception.
Okay, it'll be the same, guys. It'll be the same amount either way.
Yeah.
Yes.
About 14. 12.
The 4 was Jason. This one is. What's that one?
No, we both got 12.
We both have 12.
And you said we add our it's 1d10 plus double our perception bonus?
Yes, unless you have a skill like notice, and then you can choose to either roll the doubled perception or the perception plus notice, whichever is higher.
Yeah.
All right. So you all, as you're looking around, kind of listening to the crowd, you all hear people muttering, saying that this sideshow has kind of a bit of a reputation, apparently. And some people here, you kind of get from the conversation, might fancy themselves carnival connoisseurs, so to speak, have noted that for the rundown, shabby carnival, their sideshow is one of the most renowned. Like, everyone who comes to it says it's amazing. So that's just something that you all pick up as you're waiting for the tent to fill up and the crowd to filter in. As the last people come in and the tent flaps are closed, the lights set up inside the tent start to dim. And the flap to the side where the performers obviously enter starts to open. And the first person that enters is a man who looks fairly normal. He has a hood up and wearing fairly normal clothes other than that. And he walks up to the stage and stands behind the man in red, who looks to the crowd and spreads his hands in a very almost ministerial gesture as he says, "Welcome, welcome everyone to our amazing sideshow performance. Tonight you will witness the strange, the macabre, and the weird. I do hope that everyone enjoys your experience tonight. Our first attraction, our first guest," and he gestures the man up, "is John, the man with two faces." And as he gestures the man up, the man walks forward, a big grin on his face, and turns around. And he pulls his hood down, and you can see the back of his head has been shaved. And there's the definite shape, like there's a face there. And you can see like the indentations where eyes would be, almost the shape of a nose. There's no mouth, but you can see like the shape of the face other than that in the back of his head. And The man in the red suit continues. As you can see, John here was born with another face. Some say he was cursed by God. Others say that he devoured his twin in the womb. The truth, I assure you, is probably more interesting than that. And he goes on for a bit. The man, John, demonstrates that he can make like the nose almost twitch. So, and it's fairly subpar, you know, something cool to look at, but nothing particularly interesting. And after about 5 minutes, you guys can see the crowd's really not into it. The crowd's, you know, politely clapping, but they're not really into it. This isn't what they're here to see. And as the man in the red suit seems to notice this, he kind of gestures for John to move to the side, and you see the flap open again as another person enters, and then you realize it's two people conjoined at the hip. They are not identical twins. One is markedly taller than the other, but they're both white males, blonde hair. They look fairly normal other than the fact that they're conjoined at the hip. And as they walk up the stairs, everybody gets kind of this feeling, you know, of, wow, this is kind of interesting. Everybody roll me a willpower test, please.
Same as before, where it's roll willpower and double.
Yes, roll willpower and double your willpower bonus, not the final result.
Got it.
Geez, a 1 for Jason.
Okay, so rule of 1. Just roll again. I believe it's subtract 5. Again.
Plus,
Oh.
what would it plus?
3.
I thought it was.
It's 76,000.
So subtract 5. If negative, that replaces the first roll.
Huzzah.
So, So Jason, that was Jason's roll, right?
Yes. Here
Okay, so Jason failed.
Here's shadows. Oh god. Oh no.
Ooh. Oh no.
Oh god.
To help differentiate, maybe help. Maybe good to hashtag whether it's Jason or Shadow making it.
Yeah, you're right. I'll start doing that.
So with the second one, Shadow ends on, so you subtract the 5 from the 10. I don't think rule of 10 applies to this roll. I don't think.
That would make sense, since it's a...
Yeah. So she is at 5 plus 6, which is 11, so Shadow is good. Okay. So Jason gets caught up in it. He's interested now. He's actually kind of wanting to see what's going to happen next. You know, even though, you know, that's a little cliche, you know, conjoined twins, but whatever. Everybody else, you kind of realize that that excitement isn't natural. That excitement is being built up by someone else who's pushing that emotion on the crowd. So that is what you guys feel. Jason, however, is too caught up in it to really notice or do anything. You know, to really notice that. So the conjoined twins come up on stage. They give a little speech. It's almost like a comedy routine where the two are playing off each other. The boy on the right is, you know, the serious, no nonsense talker giving the speech, and the boy on the right is the, you know, jokester who's always cutting in with a quip. And it's almost like a comedy routine they have running off of each other. And they're up on stage for about 10, 15 minutes before the next act comes up, which is a very tall, androgynous-looking person walks on stage. And the way they're dressed accentuates their androgynous features. They are probably of Creole descent, you could gather, but other than that, there's this strange kind of almost genericness about them. Like something about them is kind of, you can't place them. Like if you were to see this person in a crowd, you wouldn't be able to place them, but they're by themselves. They stand out. And they are a contortionist. They are up on stage doing various poses, and that is when the flaming swords come out, as a pair of swords is brought out, lit on fire, and the contortionist begins doing tricks with those. So Jason, go ahead and roll me that willpower test again.
Okay. Is it double?
And everybody else, yes. Everybody else can feel the excitement as, peaking, but you guys that succeeded at the willpower test are able to separate yourselves from it, because you guys know it's not real, so to speak.
11.
All right. So at this point, Jason kind of realizes that, some of these thoughts running through his head don't really sound like him. And he gets at that point, it kind of clicks that this emotion is almost false. And he's able to start separating himself from the stream of excitement that is building. The next act that follows is a man who, has only one arm, and he is touted as a master of fencing, and him and the contortionist have a big routine where they're dancing with flaming swords, and it's actually pretty cool. Even you guys that are able to separate yourselves from the artificial emotions running throughout the room can kind of appreciate that these performers are skilled. And all throughout this part of the performance, the man in red has been showboating. And the longer the performance goes on, the more you notice he seems to be more and more energetic, more and more animated. The performance ends fairly soon after the fencing one-armed man and the contortionist act. There's a few other minor acts, they call them, that come out on the stage at the same time and do various performances, but they're very clearly there to ease the crowd down. And after the show, you hear the crowd murmuring. The crowd seems very, very impressed. And you hear a number of people talking about how they can't wait to come back with their friends. And the four of you are sitting there, kind of with this knowledge. What do you guys do?
Mari's going to look over to... Oh, you know what? For the sake of cinematics, does anyone mind if I say Mari's sitting at the very end?
I don't mind.
All right. She's going to kind of lean out to the, she assumes, two-man squad and the cat.
With a turkey leg.
Yes, and say, some pretty good show business, right?
Yeah, you seem very impressive.
I'm surprised that there are still people that go about like this.
Yeah, I've seen better.
I'm curious.
Hmm.
I could use some more depressing tales about people getting exploited.
So at this point, a voice speaks up at Syriac's shoulder and says, "Yes, I too would be quite interested to know what other performances you've seen that top our own." And it is the man in the red suit.
Oh,
None of you noticed him approach, by the way.
okay. So homeboy just kind of showed up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is it just us, or are we like in a set of stands?
There's a couple other people around. They're just rows of plastic chairs set up, like folding chairs. There's a couple other people around, but the stage is starting to empty out.
Was there even a bearded lady?
No, there was not.
Jason, you're gonna hear there wasn't even a bearded lady.
I know.
Oh, for clarification, did the cat say that out loud, or is that telepathy or some shit?
That's telepathy
However, Jason did say out loud, "I know," in an exasperated tone.
towards the cat.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's not weird. Mari will look over to the dude and say, "So where'd you learn the other trick you pulled off?"
Before he replies, go ahead and say what you're going to say, Martin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I couldn't hear what you were going to say. I'm having trouble hearing several of you guys actually.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to go with my reckless flaw as well, and just kind of retort that you can see better performances on practically any New Orleans street if you know where to look.
So the man in the red suit is smiling, and he looks back and forth between Mari and Syriac, and he says, "Syriac, sorry," and he says, "My, we have quite the observant pair here, huh? Tell you what, why don't you guys come backstage and I'll show you the real oddities."
That sounds creepy as...
That really sounds like your penis.
Yeah, I'm not...
That's if it's the bearded lady.
Is it the bearded lady? Is the bearded lady backstage?
Well, she's the manager, so I suppose she is backstage somewhere.
If she's the manager, who are you?
Oh, I'm just the humble proprietor. I'm just the showman, you know.
You always walk around in that red suit? 'Cause it's kind of weird, man.
Only on show days, of course. Wouldn't want to make a scene out on the street, you know.
Well, I'm game for a more interesting show, certainly. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's one taker. Do we have any more? So he looks at the other three. And he does actually, Shadow, you notice this guy is paying a lot more attention to you than most humans do.
Jason's getting I'm not sure about this guy.
I'll go, why not?
Is that what Jason said out loud, or did he say that just to Shadow?
He said it out loud. Assume he's saying stuff out loud unless I specify otherwise.
Gotcha.
Yes, okay, so Mari will say, It's your penis. I'm going to be really disappointed.
Oh, my
We're
dear.
very impressed.
Go ahead, Tiger.
Jason just kind of says, or very impressed.
The man just smiles
Go
at
ahead,
Mario
flip.
and says, he just smiles at Mario and says, "My dear, I'm a gentleman. You don't fuck on the first date, even if this were even a date."
Listen, it's 2019. Sometimes you just kind of have to get on with things. But I get you.
Don't remind me, he says as he turns and gestures for you guys to follow him.
She follows.
Yep, follow.
So, as the four of you are led into the back, through the flap that the performers entered, you see, well, they're certainly not fakes. They're all stood back there in, like, the staging area, taking off their costumes. One thing, everybody make me another perception test. You can apply notice if you have it, and it is great, and if you want to replace the double perception.
Hey, I didn't get a 1 this time. Didn't succeed, but I didn't get a 1 either.
Right? I've noticed you either get 1s or 10s.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
And you said this is still doubled or normal?
Yep. Still doubled. Still doubled.
Bravo. Notices.
So now, do I need to re-roll that?
Yep, so roll again, since you rolled a 1. And then subtract 5 from what you rolled the second time.
Counting the plus my the doubled.
Not the second time. Not the second
Not the
time.
second time? Okay.
Yep.
Just
Well,
normal or just the 1d10?
Just the 1d10.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. So that is less. So you have the total of 5, actually. So either way, your result is still 5. Okay. So Jason and Syriac are too busy kind of watching the strange man in the red suit, the proprietor, to notice this, but Shadow and Mari, who are both kind of looking at the performers perhaps a bit more, maybe out of curiosity, you know, there's plenty of reasons, but they notice that the androgynous contortionist, when they take off their clothes, they have these lines, like almost like henna tattoos in green that trace up from their ankles all the way up their body. They were wearing like a skin tight leotard, and so they're just stripping in the nude. These lines go all up their body. They're kind of subtle, but when the light catches them, they're really noticeable. So, yeah, Mari and Shadow both notice that. Also noticeable is the fact that this person has no genitalia of any kind.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh.
Like, they don't even have nipples. Like, they're no genitalia of any sort.
They're Ken dolls.
Pretty much.
Or Barbie dolls, or both of them put together, or neither.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh damn. Yeah, commenting on that, I think that's gonna catch some hands. Mari's not. Like,
Okay. So, you guys are led through the performers area into the back, where all like the trailers and stuff that the performers and workers actually live in. And in this like big concentric ring of trailers, there is a smaller ring of trailers that you are led through the gaps in the larger circle into the center of the smaller circle. And when you get in there, the man turns and gestures, and these are our more rare specimens. So the inside, like the side facing in, has like bars down, the typical thing that you see like circus animals kept in, except these circus animals, in one cage, I'm not going to describe it too much, but there is a black spider the size of a large horse crouched in one corner, and its eyes definitely have some intelligence there as it watches you. In another one, there's a scaly creature the size of a hippo with beautiful green scales, a long neck, and very small vestigial wings coming off its back that appears to be slumbering. In another one, there is what appears at first to be a normal lion, kind of sleeping with its head on its paws, until you notice its back half is an ant. Like, its back half is the back half of an ant, not a lion.
terrifying.
Yes. And in another cage there's a tree in the middle of the cage and a potted plant, and three very emaciated looking women with chlorophyll green hair, kind of lounging idly reading books to each other. And the man at the proprietor says, "Well, what do you think?"
Those are very interesting creatures you have there.
Oh, go ahead.
Much more impressive. My hat's off to you, sir.
Mari looks like the intelligent one. She's just gonna straight out ask it. Do you want to be here?
She's asking the spider.
Yeah, you said the intelligent spider, right?
Yeah, its eyes definitely are very aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
The spider makes like its mandibles click together several times in what's definitely an ordered pattern, almost like it's speaking its own language, but you can't understand it because to you it just sounds like clicking.
She bites her lip and says, "Tap once for yes, twice for no."
There are two very slow taps. The proprietor's smile is getting a little edged.
Okay. So that spider does not want to be here. Spider wants out.
Mm-hmm.
Did they want to be here? And Jason will point at the three women with the potted plant.
They look up, but their movements are really slow and seem like almost like a person moving through water. And they kind of nod their heads and they say, "We're fine. Mr. Ogden feeds us well." And then they go back to reading. The proprietor is smiling. Well, it's definitely a hard smile now, and he says, Oh, don't mind Adrian over there. He's just grumpy because we haven't fed him in a while.
Define a while.
2 or 3 days. We haven't had any takers on the offer to come view the more exotic exhibits.
You're gonna feed us to the spider.
Oh, not you, of course. We could tell that you are gifted from the moment you entered our circus.
Oh. We're skipping right to business talk. Alright, got it.
Well, when one's away from the normal people, he says with a hint of disdain, it is best to just cut right to the chase. We are business people here, after all.
What are you talking about? What do you mean gifted?
Oh, don't play innocent with me, wizard. I can smell the fire on your hands.
Damn it.
You're gonna hear in your head you shouldn't have been fireball. This is kind of more today.
And you both hear in your heads, you should really listen to your familiar more.
Stop fucking talking me in my head, you stupid asshole. I hate it.
Oh, that wasn't me. That was Jim.
Jim? Where's Jim?
Oh, probably somewhere off sleeping with, his prostitutes, but he keeps a good eye on the place for us. And he is wonderful. How to say, as I desperately search for the word that I'm looking for in my head. Like, when you're, like, what movie posters do. Like, what's the word? I'm having a brain fart.
Promotion?
Thank you. He goes, he's wonderful at promoting our wondrous circus.
Alright, well, Jim, if you can hear me, please stop talking in my head. It's very rude and kind of creepy.
But your thoughts are so interesting. They're so ordered.
I'm going to ask nicely one more time. Please stop.
And you hear kind of a pouty, okay. One last question, though.
What?
Are you and the cat, and you get, like, a mental image of, like, you and Shadow kissing?
No.
Fucking tell me I can hear that.
No, that's only in Jason's head.
No. No, we are not.
Jason hasn't even seen Shadow's human form.
And then, like, the thoughts, you don't hear any more thoughts, Jason.
What's up?
Well, any more thoughts that aren't yours, I should say.
Okay.
Except for when Shadow.
So the man in the red suit is looking at the three of you, saying, well, would you like to know anything about any of the exhibits?
Shadow's gonna take the turkey leg over to the spider.
It doesn't move as she approaches. It's just watching her. Does Shadow have anything like danger sense or anything like that?
Or what's that?
I don't think so.
Hey, roll me intelligence.
Unless survival counts.
Do you have anything related to like animal knowledge?
I mean, yes.
Veterinary medicine.
Let's go with the survival.
Okay.
At a -1 because it's not entirely. So intelligence plus survival -1.
That's 3.
You're right.
Okay. So Shadow isn't, really remembering anything really pertinent to the situation right now as she offers the giant spider named Adrian her chicken leg.
Turkey
Or
leg.
chicken thigh. Or turkey. Turkey
Ryan just
thigh.
tosses it at him, and then walks away, but
Okay. Yeah, it's still not moving, but its eyes are definitely tracking Shadow now. And the proprietor is still watching the group.
I'm curious as to, why you, have so many talented performers and creatures back here on for display, but you're not displaying them even with an eye to keep the mundane population from becoming clued in. Seems like it would be difficult for business, at least.
Well, you see, we're not really hurting for business. Especially due to Jim's talents. These exhibits back here are for our more exclusive patrons like yourselves. I suppose I should say the real force behind the carnival, the man who pays the checks, so to speak. He likes his personal collection of weird and wild creatures. The circus is really just an aside to that, I suppose you could say. Besides, and he points to the spider, that one was hunting mundanes in the bayou. That's actually why we're here. We picked him up rather recently. He had a beautiful cave. It was all webbed up very beautifully. The bones weren't quite to my taste, but to each their own.
That's fucked up, dude. Let's over to the spider.
The spider, it's like two of its front legs kind of almost make a shrugging motion.
Perfect.
is it still staring at Shadow?
Two of its eyes are. The rest of its eyes appear to be tracking everyone in the group. And the proprietor points at the three women now next. They were drowning people who passed too close to their tree and didn't offer the proper respects. Do you really want dryads like that out in the wild? Or the Myrmacallion over here, as he points to the lion. He was hunting people in Greece. Not even really for food, more for sport than anything. We're doing the world a favor by keeping these creatures in captivity.
Question about character versus player knowledge here. Do I need to roll anything to identify what the lion is? The antlion is?
Do you have mythology? Because this is... Yeah, I'm actually looking right now.
I do
and
have
legends. I need to check
a
that.
smattering of myth and legend, although it's mainly New Orleans folklore.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up really quick if you can roll like a skill if you don't have if like your focus is somewhere else on a skill like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just double check that.
Yeah, I forget if that's the.
Yeah. Because the myths and legends Greece would be the one that would work for him.
I have occult knowledge. Would that work?
You can roll it at a -2.
Would I include my intelligence or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the intelligence.
Myths and legends, where are you? Okay, so skill types are required skill.
I got a 10.
Awesome. So what's your total? 10?
10 plus 2 is 12.
All right.
And then I do the roll 10, right?
I'll say go ahead and roll it, Martin, at just a -1. Because it's possible you could have picked it up somewhere.
Cool.
So 6 minus 5 is 1. So do I add that to my total?
As long as it is not negative, yes.
Sick.
And that's an intelligence roll plus?
Yes.
Intelligence roll -1 or intelligence +1
So-
-1?
Yeah, intelligence plus your myths and legends -1, so evens out to just intelligence essentially for you.
Can I?
Kim's got myth and legend at chicken. Can she do the same thing?
Yes, at the -1.
Okay.
So let me see if there's a definition of how to say this word.
What? No, that's a 2. Oh,
Oof. Okay. -5, Tiger?
Isn't that how it do?
Oh, did you roll? Oh, you rolled another one. Sorry, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Okay.
That was
So, yeah. So, Jason's heard legends of the Myrmidon. It's an ancient Greek creature. It wasn't like the most renowned, but it's an antlion. It's actually traditionally kind of a sad monster because the lion part will only eat meat and the ant part can only digest grain, so it tends to be starving perpetually. Shadow and Syriac, they can't quite put their finger on it, but they know that it's from Greece at least. They know that for certain, especially with the fact that the proprietor mentioned that they found it there. So that is what you guys get.
Where'd you pick that one up?
Hmm?
Where'd you pick that one up? And Jason will point at the antlion.
In Greece, he was hunting people for sport.
Was it?
Yes. Not quite as impressive as the dragon over there, as he points to the green, scaly creature. Now, that one had a whole nest, even had a clutch of eggs.
What happened to the eggs?
I don't know. Boss took him. We haven't seen him. She kind of went into a bit of a depression, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That tends to happen. Yeah.
Poor creature. No?
You say that, but she did eat both farmers and their livestock for sustenance. Can there really be sympathy for such a creature? And he's looking at Syriac to see what he says in response.
Syriac isn't really. He's experiencing unexpected holding of tongue, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
as he ponders his own the fact that we don't all get to choose what we consume. Basically,
Yeah, I get you.
he's kind of going philosophical on himself at that thought.
The proprietor smiles and says, "Ah, yes. I've seen that look before. Tell me, cousin, how old are you?"
It's not polite to ask someone their age, Cher.
Well, that rule traditionally only applies to ladies, or at least it did in my day.
Fairly young, thank you.
Hmm. I do hope you haven't taken to running with the wizards and their types. So he's kind of throwing a glance at Jason and Mari.
Yeah, I like hanging out to wizards. Going out to eat together is quite nice.
Hmm. An eyebrow goes up, and the proprietor says, "Youth these days. But what can you do? Is there anything else you all would like to see at our Fines Carnival? We have really no more interesting exhibits, but I suppose I could take you to meet the boss if you'd like, if he's around."
Jason Walker, we were promised a bearded lady.
We were promised the bearded lady. We don't get a bearded lady, it's false advertising. Even if the advertising was in our brain.
I suppose that was Jim that said that, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, I suppose I'll beat him later. Come with me. And he starts walking off through the gap in the trailers.
Jason will shrug and follow along.
Okay, and at this point, I'm gonna do a quick intermission so that everybody has a chance to go to the bathroom, get some water, and we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. So, drink tea break time. All right. So just so you know, Tim, we were doing a quick 10-minute intermission break. So to catch you up, the group did some lore rolls, found out about the Vermicolion, what that was. It's basically an ant lion. Rip Tim. Can you hear us? Can you hear me, Tim?
Yes, my hangout dropped for a moment.
Okay. So, did you hear any of the catch up?
Nope. Everyone was silent.
Okay. So we're just doing a quick intermission. The group did some rolls, found out what the antlion was.
It was an antlion.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of is obvious now, in hindsight.
The proprietor was like, is there anything else you want to see? We don't really have that many more interesting exhibits, unless you guys want to meet the boss. And then Shadow was like, hey, we were promised a bearded lady. And Jason was like, yeah, we were promised a bearded lady, otherwise it's false advertising. There was a little bit of back and forth between Martin's character and the proprietor that kind of settled, about, how old are you, cousin? I hope you're not hanging around with the wizards too much. And then, these young kids, the kids these days, that sort of thing. And then they went to go meet the bearded lady. So that's where the group's at right now.
Okay. So we're about to go meet the bearded lady. I'm right on time.
Perfect. You're just waiting, I think, for everybody to get back, and then we'll be ready.
I
am back as well.
Awesome. So I just need Tiger and Kim, and then we can resume. I'm going to go for about another half an hour or so, and then I have to retire because I do need to sleep because I have Bash tomorrow to go to. So
that's legit.
You don't need sleep.
Yeah, I'm a Monster Hearts game tomorrow at noon. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to get some sleep too. So I don't want to keep everybody up too late.
No, yeah, I'm cool with this. Let's go.
All right. So everybody back?
Ahoy.
Awesome. So you guys are led by the proprietor through a couple of areas where it's very obvious temporary places to do laundry have been set up, that sort of thing, till you get to the biggest trailer that's obviously lived in. And you guys are, led up to the door, and he knocks. And there's no response at first. Until after about 10 minutes or so of you guys standing there, probably getting a little impatient, the door opens, and there's a tall, thin lady with an honestly kind of disappointing goatee, kind of looking down at the proprietor and says, "What the fuck do you want?"
Want to meet you.
Jason looks up at the woman, looks at her disappointing goatee, audibly says, "Eh," and then just turns around and walks away.
The woman looks at... She kind of looks at Jason, askance as he does that, then looks at Mari and says, Was it that fucking Jim again telling people to come see the bearded lady?
Yes.
I'm gonna beat that fucker so hard. And she, like, takes a drag off a cigarette that she didn't even notice was in her hand at first. Motherfucker. And the proprietor's just standing there smiling.
She'll just say, hey, if you want to record that shit, I'll put that shit on WorldStar. If you know, it's all good.
And then you'd have to put it on Pornhub because I'm gonna rip that motherfucker's dick off.
I don't think Pornhub goes that hard with it. May have to go to Heavy Eye.
And she just grunts and says, well, what do you weirdos do? Why are you at my trailer other than just sightsee?
Like I said, well, like you said, actually, Jim hit us up. Supposed to come over here. I thought it was going to be the start of some fucking quest or some shit, but nah.
You want a quest? Go see the fucking fairies. Don't come to me. I got fucking accounting to do. And then she slams the door in your guys' face.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. So.
Syriac just kind of shrugs and said, "Yeah, I'd go with her. Cool. Yeah."
The proprietor looks at him and says, "We need to have a talk, cousin, about standards."
Cousin?
Oh, you didn't. Go ahead, Kim.
While Jason's walking away, he'll hear Shadow ask why they were magically manipulating their audience.
Jason's going to ask mentally, why don't you just ask? You can also ask them.
I don't.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Why are you guys manipulating the audience to feed those critters?
Yeah,
Well, oh, go ahead, Tim.
Oh no, she just said she's curious about that too.
The man says, the proprietor starts walking back with you guys. He says, well, we look at it this way. We can keep them fed once or twice a week on, the people that society will never miss. Or we can let them run wild, and they can kill hundreds of people in a day, or none for a whole month. Better to keep it manageable, you understand.
So, if you feed it people that nobody will miss, why haven't you fed yourself to it yet?
Because they don't much like the taste of dead flesh, unfortunately.
Oh.
But whenever they eat things, it by default becomes dead.
No,
Not necessarily.
I think he's saying he's
You're
already
past the expiration date.
saying he's already dead. He's a walking corpse, pretty much. I imagine he doesn't have blood.
Was that to everyone, Kim?
Everyone in the party.
Okay, so yeah, Sirac and Mari, you guys just had a voice in your head saying what Kim said, that he's past the expiration date. And it's a very noticeably female voice.
Not gonna freak out at this.
That was
Probably it's gonna send the thought back. Who is this now?
Shadow's just gonna lick her paw.
That was the cat.
Oh, bitchin'.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm guessing you don't have blood.
Don't have what?
Blood. Because you're a walking corpse.
Why would I not have blood?
'Cause you're a walking corpse. You don't need it.
Just said it. Just said it.
Yeah, if I may interject, contrary to popular belief, hmm, the undead can look and appear quite lively, if we wish.
The proprietor smiles and says, "My younger cousin is quite correct. While we may not be alive, we do have many of the same functions that mortals do."
Bitchin'.
Now, if you'd like to come with me, I think your time at our wonderful carnival is over.
Jason asked about the thing with the dragonfly wings.
Hey, have you encountered anybody with like weird dragonfly wings?
He stops for a second and thinks, and he says, "Where did you encounter this individual?"
My bookstore. They were trying to steal a book. I threw fire at it.
What kind of book?
I don't know. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out. It was written in Latin, and I don't speak Latin or read Latin, as the case may be.
I advise you keep that book locked up somewhere very magically secure. If a fairy of the Unseelie Court wishes it, then whatever's in it is probably not good for humanity.
Well, I've been using it as a doorstop, so.
The look on this guy's face when Jason says that is just, I am too old for this shit. Where's my retirement check? As he just starts walking in and leading you guys out of the carnival.
May I ask, cousin, the encouragement that I'm guessing Jim was giving to that fills the atmosphere here with essence, is that to support so many, let's say, individuals here, like creatures that can't eat meat or vegetables. Otherwise, it seems kind of a waste, or at least a environmental distraction.
He smiles and he says, "It is partially to feed some of our more discerning members, but for your information, no, the essence is not wasted. It is funneled towards a purpose, such as the wards binding our guests' cages so they don't escape and go on a rampage." Even though I'm fairly certain Tybalt could put them down, we don't want to test that theory against all of them at the same time.
What kind of Romeo and fucking Juliet bullshit is this? You got a motherfucker named Tybalt on retainer?
Yes, you saw him earlier. He was the one-armed man, the fencer.
Oh. Well.
At this point, you guys have actually reached like the entrance to where the carnival has been set up in the park, and he's just kind of politely standing there, very obviously like waiting for you guys to leave.
Oh, Cheryl's gonna ask what kind of doll you wanted from the ring toss.
Jason will paint back the kind of doll he wanted.
Okay, Shadow is going to trot purposefully towards the ring toss.
His eyes are tracking Shadow, and he says, "What are you doing, my dear?"
She's being a cat.
I am not fooled. I've seen the past before.
Jason throws. Cat's been a cat.
He just kind of like he stares at Shadow very intently, and Shadow hears a voice in her head. "Pray tell, what are you doing?"
She will reply with hunting this, which
Say that one more time.
she will reply hunting this and an image.
Oh, was it an image of the
Yeah.
bear that he wanted?
Yeah, specifically says hunting.
Make it quick is all you get.
She will quickly still there.
Okay, the person at the stands tries to he takes a broom and he looks like he's gonna whack Shadow, like try and whack Shadow with it as she makes off with this bear, but he stops like halfway through his swing and just grunts and grumbles and puts it down and goes back to managing the ring toss. There's a crowd of people who are kind of like staring at the cat who's running off with a bear that's about half her size. So that's a pretty good sized bear of how big Shadow is. Which, for everyone's reference, she's a Maine Coon, which are like smaller or larger than some dogs. Like, yeah, she's a big
She
cat.
weigh up to 40 pounds.
Yeah, that's a thing. And Shadow makes it back to Jason unharmed and unmolested.
You are very good at hunting prey.
I wasn't hunting it. I was winning it. You know, that's what you do in a game.
You guys are still being very impatiently stared at by the proprietor.
Yeah,
Oh.
here we go.
Sorry, do you have somewhere you need to be?
And also, I did want to thank you for taking us on such a generous tour. When obviously you have many demands on your time. I didn't catch your name though, cousin.
Let's just say my name is a privilege, not a right. I do thank you for your manners, though. Not everyone has been trained as such, it seems. Is he very, very obviously side-eyes Jason?
Jason is currently picking out a popcorn kernel in his teeth with his pinky now.
I love it.
You're just gonna make it worse.
I can get it.
It's going to go deeper if you keep coming at it from that angle.
Yeah, the man in the red suit walks off, and a couple of very burly security guys are headed your way.
Jason continues picking at his teeth. He'll give a half-hearted wave to the security guys.
Yes, I don't see any particularly pressing need to hang around.
Well, that's fair. I need to go back home and wallow in depression anyway.
I mean, same actually. Yeah.
So are you guys leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So as the four of you, head out to the street, a black stretch limousine pulls up. Very conspicuously stops like right where the four of you are standing, and the back window rolls down, and this woman is looking out at you from inside the limousine, and she just says, "You four, get in."
Yes, ma'am. She's gonna hop in Angela Bassett's car because you fucking get in Angela Bassett's car.
Wherever you pray.
Jason sighs, grabs his teddy bear, and gets into the limo.
Does Sirac get in the limo?
Hey, if a beautiful woman asks me to do something, I better have a very good reason not to, so why not live dangerously? And slides into the seat.
So inside the limousine, it's a very nice black limousine. Like the inside of it is all nice black velvet. The seats, it's one of the ones where the seats are turned in so that you can all view, everybody can see each other while they're sitting. The driver, if anyone cares to look at him, is like wearing gloves and a nice suit. Caucasian driver, but his movements are like a little bit like stiff, and he doesn't like react if you try to talk to him or anything.
Does he have the nice hat though?
He does. It's a very nice hat.
Excellent.
And the woman just leans back as you all like get in the car and says, "Would any of you like refreshments? We have a cooler." She gestures to a cooler set in the side of the seating.
Do you have a toothpick?
She kind of looks around, looks inside her purse, pulls out a toothpick, and tosses it to Jason.
Jason will take it and start trying to get that popcorn kernel out of his teeth with the toothpick.
I have a feeling.
Anyone else?
She'll say,
Sorry.
Mari will say, "I have a feeling this is going to be a long evening. Can a girl get hooked up with some iced coffee?"
We'll stop by Starbucks. Jack? And she snaps her fingers, and the car starts taking off. And can I just say now I have the vision of this group stopping by and Angela Bassett ordering at a Starbucks drive-thru, and that's great. She looks at Sirac and she says, "I don't want to assume, but we do have some refreshments that might be to your taste, sir."
I'm sorry, was that directed at me? I couldn't quite hear.
Yes, that was directed at Sirac.
You've piqued my curiosity. Yeah? Thank you.
And she'll just gesture to the cooler, which happens to be right next to the seat that he's sitting in. And if he opens it, there's a lot of various kinds of drinks in there, and she will just direct him to go in the very back and pull out this drink that it's green, and it's, I shit you not, looks like it's in a fucking potion bottle, like from Harry Potter or some shit. And she just says, "I know it looks a little ominous, but it's perfectly fine to drink. It's my own special brew."
I can't refuse. Yeah. I take it, raise it in a cheers gesture to her, and pop.
Okay, so when you when you take the first sip, the first thing that comes to your mind is it tastes like when you absorb the essence of a spell, you get kind of the taste of the spell and the essence of the person who cast that like spell. And this tastes like a warm, summery sort of essence, which you can assume is probably the woman's essence from the words that the phrasing that she used and everything. But it tastes warm and summery, and you can tell it's definitely a peaceful sort of spell that's inside of this, and it actually is pretty filling. Like it sustains you. And the woman leans back. She has a whiskey in a glass that she's sipping from, and she says, Now that everyone's all comfortable, perhaps we should introduce ourselves. I am Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of the city. And you all are?
My name's Mari. I'm the makeup queen of Hot Topic.
A good title.
I'm Jason. I'm the overlord of Books a Million.
Syriac kind of pulls himself out of this blissful humming in after letting the drink kind of simmer through his system, and says, Syriac Bouillard, tour guide.
She kind of raises an eyebrow at his name, but she doesn't comment. She says, And you, Lady Bast?
She's going to telepathically respond. Shadow. Okay.
A fitting name. Now, I promise you, I'm not just kidnapping you for no reason. And then she winks and says, Not that I'm really kidnapping you at all, but there have been some goings on in the city lately that worry me. I have a bit of a vested interest in the city's survival, as I'm sure you understand. Mari, why don't you inform the others about the incident that happened outside the mall a few days ago?
Oh, shit. You heard about that?
I have eyes and ears everywhere, my dear. You don't get to my position without knowing a lot.
Alright. Well, so what happened was me and my coworker was fucking chilling outside. Heard gunshot. Ghost came up to me. By the way, I see dead people. Don't fucking worry about it. It's fine. Also, none of you are dead. This isn't the Sixth Sense. Ghost was really confused about what the fuck went down. I broke it down. Ghost basically requested that we help it out. Or I volunteered to help out. I forgot, honestly. Depression fucks through memory. Anyway, me and my coworker and this ghost roll up to the dude's body, and we see that there are maggots in that motherfucker's eyes. So my coworker turned into a giant cat war beast, and I T-posed until the fucking maggot eating eye dude went down. Had this fucking tattoo on it. And she'll describe the tattoo because I can't remember the tattoo.
I had a character I can't either, so it'll probably get a new
Something
description when I yeah.
Okay. Quite frankly, I don't really like it when people make my job difficult.
And Jason, why don't you elucidate the others on the incident at your bookstore?
Yes, somebody was pretending to be one of my employees, rooting around in the back. Asked them what they were doing. And turned the corner, and it was this weird dude with dragonfly wings. And had this book that was all written in Latin. I had no idea what was going on, so I just kind of started chucking fireballs at him. Then he escaped, and I took the book, and I have it safeguarded.
You throw fireballs in your own bookstore?
Yeah,
Dangerous.
I mean,
It was technically in the hallway.
it was in the hallway, and I'm good, so it wasn't a problem.
I think he was talking about the books more than you, but I'm glad you're good.
Thanks. I didn't throw them at the books. I mostly threw them to where they would kind of hit the floor and then bounce to him, and then I could just stomp it out. It's not big deal.
Well, that's good to know. Apologies for doubting you.
That's alright, everyone does.
These incidents are not isolated. There's a group. They've been growing more influential in the area. They've been calling themselves the Cult of the Violet Knight. However, I happen to know that they're actually a front for a mad god cult. Yes, I know. Using a cult as a front for a cult. It's very postmodern. But these people, not all of them are human. They want that book that you have, Jason Morley. And that means that I don't want them to have it. I'm going to take the group of you to my temple. Give you guys a bit of a look into our library, see if you can find anything there that might find out what they're trying to summon, and see if there's a way to prevent it, or in the event that they succeed, perhaps to drive it back. Is this agreeable to everyone? And her tone is very obvious that
It is.
you better be agreeable to this.
I'm cool with it. I just have a question.
What is your question?
Why don't we just take that book and then yeet that bitch into a fire?
Just as an interjection, at the mention of the Cult of the Violet Knight, Syriac immediately bursts into Calice cavare estimondit sacramante tuiu viagar bapteme. Basically, he's doing what are called sacres, which are Arcadian mainly references to Christian Catholic sacraments and stuff like that, that usually are meant to be as profane, such profanity that you need to use sacred words to express it. Basically, he is really ticked off at it.
Marie Laveau definitely, when he does that, she's definitely giving him kind of the expression she has in the picture. Like, she knows. And in response to Mare, she says, well, that's definitely an option. Then we run the risk of, if there's something sealed inside that book, releasing it. Knowledge of mad gods is not merely knowledge, you see.
I mean, it's pretty
All
safe
right.
where it is
So
right now.
leading it into the fire. All right. So leading it into the fire, that comes out. That's shitty.
And what did you say, Tiger? I missed that.
He said, I mean, it's in a
Sorry.
pretty safe spot right now.
It's under your bed. It's in your bed under your pillow, isn't it?
No, one of the legs on my bed frame fell off, so it's keeping my bed up.
There's a moment when she just closes her eyes and sighs, then opens her eyes again.
Joey, are you?
Oh. So we won't pause for a minute. We're gonna do some witchcraft commercials.
Try
I like to imagine that Simple Rick's is a commercial.
witchcraft, where clown is the best drawback to take.
Kinda. It's great though. It's fine.
We could just have an in-character conversation.
I'm back.
Okay.
So where were we at?
Jason said something stupid, and Angela Bassett looked like she was about to murder somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And in response to that face, Mari says, "We are not the heroes that you were expecting or hoping for."
Just Jason? Why do you keep lying about where the book is?
Oh, well, actually, she'll point over to Cyrilak. He might be the hero you were hoping for.
Never much thought of myself as a hero, but I do have history with that effing cult. Apologies, ladies.
It's fucking okay. I very much appreciate the shit out of the fact that you do not fucking swear around me. Nods.
Marie Laveau just says, be as it may, you are the gifted who are involved with the situation. I'm going to track down that young Pharaoh as well and get her involved. She's not getting out of this. It's her responsibility as much as it is any of yours.
I'll hit her up at work.
Good. Now, I heard something about Starbucks, and that is where we will end our session. As you guys drive off to Starbucks with Angela Bassett. So, thank you players for playing, thank you watchers for watching, and stay tuned for more.